say this wholeheartedly. It's like God will put you in places you don't have your resume can't qualify for. Like I didn't have this, like I never bought a house prior. I never had to invest in property. It was crazy because all prior to getting my license, me and Pascal, I experienced all those things with him prior to getting it. And it was like one thing to the other. And now we're in a business together. And it was just crazy how literally God changed everything by just me surrendering and obeying and following what he said. And it's like he gave me the desire of my heart.
And obviously your husband is a successful realtor.
This is the funny part. I always didn't like real estate agents, to be honest. I remember even dating him was kind of annoying. He's always on his phone, and it was just like, when I became a real estate agent, I was like, okay, I get it now. But yeah, I was like, wow, okay, I'm sorry.
I'm Cynthia Ostos, team leader and broker at eXp Realty here in the Greater Toronto Area. Welcome to Beyond the Sale, a real estate podcast where we discuss everything beyond the sale. Welcome to Beyond the Sale. I have an amazing guest on today. She is not only beautiful, she is smart, she is an incredible woman, a mother, an amazing wife, Katrina Mongelard.
Yes, you got it.
Thank you so much for being on today.
Of course, I'm happy to be here, Cynthia.
Yes. You and I, how did we meet if we go back in time? I feel like, was it at the gym or was it?
Yeah, at the gym, at LA Fitness. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I was actually, no joke, I had text messages from you from 2018, which is wild.
Yeah.
I guess you were training me.
Yeah, I was a fitness
I can't even
instructor,
remember. After you have kids, like some of your previous life, do you agree?
Literally, 100%.
Yeah, so we met probably at the gym, but I think also maybe through Pascal, your husband, we maybe got to know one another.
I think we met or crossed
stitch
paths.
It all together.
Yeah.
But that's sort of where a lot of your life, I guess, previous to real estate, you were in the gym. Do you want to talk a bit about, so now obviously you're a successful real estate agent, but back in the day, did you started out in fitness or?
Yeah. So originally, actually, from 4 years old, I was into sports. My dad actually
4 years old.
Yes. So my dad actually was in the camp for St. Louis Blues for the NHL. So he had like a big history in sports, and I guess the talent kind of dropped
St.
then.
Louis Blues, is that a hockey team?
Yes,
okay.
I'm NHL.
I'm not a sports lady,
okay,
so okay.
So he actually turned all that down to become a pastor. So I guess his dream, like when I was younger, was to fill the same sports dream. So I had the talent back then. So I was playing sports, basketball and soccer. I ended up tearing both of my ACLs. I had opportunities, in the States.
Get out. You were playing basketball and soccer to the point that you tore your ACL.
Both. Yeah. So my right knee is, I had the surgery and the other one's still partially torn. So I had potential to be out in the States on scholarships to Michigan State. And then I actually played in Belleville too on a scholarship. And long story short, God closed that door. I wasn't able to play through my injuries. So it was very tough. And I guess that passion for sports and fitness and just being active never died. And then I got into bodybuilding. And, after sports, I gained a lot of weight. And it was just a very depressing time because having, being into sports 4 to 5 times a week, playing such a high competitive level, it was in my blood. My dad was my coach almost my whole life. So we had that bond and it was a very sad time. And I went to food to cope. And as time was going on, long story short, I said, I'm going to make a goal. I'm going to do a fitness show. And a lot of my family and friends kind of laughed because I just did not have the physique at all. And
were you into the gym at all? Or
a little bit. I mean, I was still here and there. My knees, it's tough. I can't play sports anymore, but I am able to do certain exercise.
You can sell real estate.
Oh, yes. Thank God. But that, yes. And so, gosh, where am I here? Yeah. So then I wanted to do
the competition.
A show. Yeah.
Okay. And everyone was laughing at you.
Yeah,
kind
because
of wondering.
I gained all this weight. I wasn't the athletic self that I was back then. And I said, I'm going to do this. I'm going to pursue this. And long story short, I just wanted to get on stage and say I did it because it was pretty heavy duty dieting and the training. And it was a lot of work.
So
and
how
dedication.
old were you roughly around that time?
23, 24.
Okay.
Yeah. 22 to 25. So 3 years in the fitness competitions. That's what I was doing. But prior, I was in,
and it's like a whole world, right?
Well, I would say a good 8 years. I was,
wow.
Really heavily into working in the gym. And then I got signed out to the States. It's a long, anyways, we'll get into that after or if you ask. But and I just wanted to get on stage and be able to say that I did it. And I won.
So you set a goal and you wanted to achieve it.
Yeah. And then I ended up winning back-to-back shows. And I was just like, wow, I got the audience award and then won the figure award as well. And I just couldn't believe it. And then shortly after there, I got noticed on social media. I was doing a lot of like fitness, and I created like a motivational video, and had a training.
I remember watching that video.
Oh,
actually.
yeah?
Yeah.
It's actually going to be 10 years on
Wow.
November 1st.
Crazy.
Yeah. So it's just, life is just like,
Yeah.
after kids and real estate, like you just don't remember what's going on anymore. It's just like, what's happening? Yeah. And then I went out in the States, and they wanted to turn me into like these fitness influencer girls. And back then fitness wasn't as popular, and, the whole bodybuilding thing. So, I was a little Canadian girl, and I was with, I've mentioned some names you probably won't know, but these are some really big girls in the industry that had literally millions of followers. And I was out with them going to like Olympia out there, and, which is the biggest bodybuilding show you can be at. And I was out there for 2 weeks, and they sent me home. Prior to that, I was so excited because they were paying for my car, condo, everything would have been paid for. And when I was out there, I couldn't maintain the diet. Like, I was still suffering with my eating because there wasn't always gigs, right? So there'd be something, let's say in a week. And as I was telling you a little bit before with my eating, I would, let's say, cut. And then the next day or 2 days, I would be eating a whole bunch of junk. And they're like, you're not fit for this role. Like, and they sent me back home.
After 2 weeks, they sent you home?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, that must have been like really heartbreaking.
Very. That was probably one of the lowest moments because, I was going through a breakup at the time. I had to go back home. I didn't know what I was going to do with my career. I got into kinesiology for this opportunity. So like everything with sports, fitness, everything just kind of fell on me. And I was just at a very low point, not sure what I was going to do with my life because fitness and
then
sports
what? Now I'm
was
dying to hear what came next. Holy.
Yeah. So crazy enough, I was doing a lot of praying, a lot of.
So you're a spiritual lady.
Mm-hmm.
You have a lot of faith, I know.
Yeah, definitely. It's pretty much my pillar, or the pillar in my life. The only reason why I'm probably even sitting here or anywhere is because of God. So yeah, I would do a lot of walks, a lot of runs, and I was just in a place like, what am I going to do? I was always very fulfilled and driven by purpose. And I kind of lost all of that with my knees, unfortunately. And then obviously with the binge eating disorder, that just caused a lot of issues for fitness. You can't have that while you're doing, fitness modeling and shows. And I was a lot of soul searching, and I was just praying. And I said, you know what, I'm going to go to Africa and do missionary work.
Oh my God, I did not know all of this about you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I signed up for a school, and I got accepted, and it was in Kansas City. And half the year you're in Africa doing sports and fitness, which was really cool because that was my passion.
Sounds right up your alley.
Yeah. Sports and fitness, and you use it for God to help. And then also the other half you're in Kansas City, and you're doing like other programs within, again, sports and fitness to witness and help and be out there with unfortunate, people that are not living fortunately, right? So I was all excited, got accepted, and I'm like, God, whatever you want me to do. I'm like, if I'm going to sleep in the slums and this is what you want my life to be, this is what I'm going to do. And I remember thinking and saying that, and I was never more at peace and happy, I guess you can say, or just this fulfillment that I knew I was going to do what God wanted me to do. And then after that, it's crazy how this all starts. But I always obviously wanted a husband and I wanted a family. But I remember prior to that, I was going through a tough breakup too. I obviously, as most women, want to, find a husband. And I was always searching that. But I finally let go and just kind of gave it all to God. And my best friend at the time was dating this guy. And she showed a picture of the guy. And Pascal was in it. And remember, this is like a month or so before I'm about to go to Kansas City on the school. And I see the picture in my mind, I'm telling you, Cynthia, like, I was not thinking of this at all. I was just like, oh, who's that? Like, I was like, this is a good looking guy. Who's
so you
that?
saw the picture before you even met him and was wondering, who's that?
Because she showed me the picture of her boyfriend. I looked to them, I'm like, who is this?
Okay.
So let me find out. I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, I didn't really. 2 days later, I just remember she's like, good news, Katrina. Successful, 36 years old, agent, and he's single.
Oh, because she went and found out who he was.
Yeah. And I was like,
get out.
I was like, okay. So she's like, let's go out. Let's go out with them. It's whatever, right? So
like
we
a
all
double date kind of thing?
Like a party. Like just all meet out of like to go hang out, whatever. And I was kind of like, I was not really about that party life anymore either. I was just kind of really focusing on, I was just reading literally every day, Cynthia. Like I was just in a whole different mindset, like different.
Yeah, you were getting ready for your trip and like your new life, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. So they kind of shut the door on that past, right? But anyway, I'm like, let me just go, whatever. So we met, and
where did you meet?
Cabana.
Okay.
Yeah. And he was 36. I remember my mom when I told him after that party that I met him, and I'm like, oh, he had a lot of great things, and we clicked. And she's like, Katrina, 36 years old. I was 24 at the time, 12 years apart. Yeah. So she's just like,
did not know you guys had that gap.
Yeah. And from that day on, so I'll get to that in a second. But when I met him, I liked him. Things were going well. It was a couple weeks. Like ever since we met, we were just hanging out. But in my heart, I'm like, this is like, I got to go to my trip. Right. So we were kind of at that stage after a few weeks. Like he met my mom and he was all in.
Already, like that quick?
Very quick. Yeah. He knew what he wanted and he's like, it's you.
Wow.
I was like, okay, but I was just in a different position. Right.
Right.
And Cynthia, this was just so crazy. So I knew wholeheartedly, like I'm going to this trip. I knew this is what God wanted me to do. And I remember working at 5 a.m. at the front desk at my gym and I'm sitting there. And, you know, I was writing out and I still have the papers, like my 100 goals that I want to do, you know, in my life. And I remember writing like, I have a fantastic boyfriend, you know, I have a great family, great parents. And I said, but I just don't know my career yet. Like I'm so lost in my career. Like I got it. And I remember on my note, I have that till this day. And everything was going well but that. And even though I was going to missionary school, like what would come out of that, right? But I still was just following. I'm sitting there, it's 5 a.m., I'm praying, and I remember, and I have goosebumps, and it came down. It was like literally like a flush over my head, and it was like, stay home, this is your husband.
What? That is crazy. For real.
Yeah, and I have goosebumps. I just remember that moment. I just almost started like...
did you hear it? Was it like, or you just felt it and knew the words? Like...
I just knew God was speaking to me. It was literally, it was like a whisper. It was just a sense. It was just like, it's tough to even explain. It was just clear as day almost. Those were the words, like, stay home, this is your husband. And I just was almost
You must have been like,
yeah.
almost, not scared, but it's like, what? Right? Like, because you're like, what just happened? Where did that come from? And like...
Yeah. It was a lot of emotions. And I just remember talking to my parents about it and just thinking about it because it was just, I'm like, why would... Like I'm literally on a path that's probably the most pleasing to do in God's eyes and just serving and all this, but now you go this direction. It was just all confusing. Long story short, Cynthia, I obviously followed God's direction and we got engaged. We got married. I got my real estate license. I'm in the career that I just like, honestly, God, and I say this wholeheartedly, it's like God will put you in places you don't have your resume can't qualify for. Like I didn't have this, like I never bought a house prior. I never had to invest in property. It was crazy because all prior to getting my license, me and Pascal, I experienced all those things with him prior to getting it. And it was like one thing to the other. And now we're in a business together. And it was just crazy how literally God changed everything by just me surrendering and obeying and following what he said. And it's like he gave me the desire of my heart when I just stepped back and just wanted to honor him.
And then
it's
naturally...
Like,
your
everything.
Career came,
yeah,
because you said that's kind of where you were like not sure what you were going to do, and obviously your husband is a successful realtor. I remember I met Pascal obviously back in the day, Remax Legacy, any OGs out there, and I actually remember taking him out for lunch because I was like, he was a top producer, and I was like, I need to learn what he's doing in his business. I was like, can I take you to lunch? Like a fan, right? Yeah. And like I admired him so much, and you know, he has an incredible business, and obviously now you're part of all of that with him. Yeah. And like, I mean, I'm so grateful to Pascal for, you know, bringing me to EXP, introducing me to another whole brokerage model. And I'm so happy. Like I've only been at EXP since March, but Pascal is the reason or the culprit, if you will, because, you know, he called me and obviously I was open enough to hear what he had to say. And I think, you know, he's had such a positive impact on everybody's life, right?
Yeah. Like, it's amazing what this company's doing, honestly.
Yeah, it is wild. So how are you liking real estate? So you've been doing it for how long now?
A little over 5 years now.
5 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's funny because Pascal always told, like when, this is the funny part, I always didn't like real estate agents, to be honest, because
I was going to say when the person, your friend at the time was like, oh, realtor.
Yeah.
Right. Like I sometimes joke with my husband, like, oh, like, how does it feel being married to a realtor? Because we sort of have that like,
stigma
I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, you either like realtors or you hate them. Right. So, so you're saying you didn't really like realtors?
No, just from the people that I met. And I mean, it's not like it was stuck in my heart or whatever, but I just remembered when I read it, I was like, okay with it, but I just kind of knew anyway. So yeah, we got together and then he's the one that actually helped me do the selling of training, like the fitness training, like to be a salesperson and sell the training. Right. And I was so scared to do that. I'm like, I'm not a salesperson. Like, this is not for me. He's like, Katrina, just be you. And I had that whole background prior. Like I was working front desk at the gym, but doing my whole training business on the side, which was fine. It didn't conflict.
You mean like personal training?
You got it. Yeah. And I was doing my shows. So I was just like in the gym, but still doing my own personal thing. But then I was just deciding right when I met him, do I want to be like a fitness manager or do the sales part? And he's
Right,
like, don't do
okay.
the manager, do the sales. You'll do better. And, and I'm like, I was just so nervous because that position in the gym is very tough. Like the turnover rate is like, it's very tough to sell training in the gym. You got to approach people, sit
Really?
down. Oh
Okay.
yeah. I mean, I was working at LA Fitness for
Meanwhile,
like
I'm
eight
like,
years.
sure, sign me up.
Yeah, some people, but most of the time,
$10,000.
yeah, literally. Yeah, most people, it's not an easy job because, and then you get paid very little and it's based on the sales. So you're
Right.
there all day. It's a lot of work, right?
Right.
He told me to do that, and wow, like I became one of the top in Canada on sales and training.
Really?
Yeah, and I got promoted like immediately. It was a really good, like it was going really well. I give all the thanks to Pascal. And then one moment, Cynthia, like Elephant was a great company, and it was my stepping stone to real estate for sure because I learned how to work with older people and younger people and how to talk with people, and it was such a great job. Honestly, I give so much to that company because that's really what elevated me into real estate and
Shout outs
gave me the
to
confidence.
LA
And there we
Fitness.
go. Yeah.
I still go there.
Yeah, me too. So you're a good one. I don't know where I'm looking, but yeah, but yeah. And then another like moment. He picked me up from the gym, and it was like 8:30, and we just sat there. And I remember even dating him was kind of annoying. He's always on his phone, and it was just like, I mean, got used to it, but it was certain things. I'm like, okay. He's like, I'm so tired from showings. I'm like, okay, I was in the gym all day. What do you mean you're tired from showings? Like
Yeah.
you're there for a couple hours.
Yeah.
I'm in the gym all day. Then when I became a real estate agent, I was like, okay, I get it now. But
For sure.
yeah, I was like, wow, okay, I'm sorry. But yeah, and we just sat in the car, and then we just looked. It was just so weird. We both looked at each other, Cynthia, and we're like, why don't we do this together? And it
Oh
was
my
just like that
God.
moment. And then again, no more goosebumps. We're like, oh my gosh. And then I was like so scared. And we went on like a business trip, and I wrote out like the pros and cons of why to get into real estate. And there was no cons. It was just fear. I'm like, literally everything was in the hands to get into
Oh man,
this.
fear is a big, bad, hairy monster that, we all have to deal with in different ways. And
Yeah.
it holds us back from doing a lot of things,
Yeah.
right?
Oh,
a
for
lot,
sure.
a lot.
Yeah.
So, wow, that is like, what a story.
Yeah.
Wow. So 5 years you've been in real estate. Obviously, how amazing is it that you married a top producer? Like the guy was not just any average realtor. So learning from someone that's the best
sure.
and obviously speeds up your learning in the industry.
Yep.
And now 5 years later, like how are things now? You guys work together. I know you're inseparable. I always say like, wow, you guys are always together.
Yeah.
Is it challenging to work with your husband like on that type of level?
Of course, there's always the highs and lows, just like in a marriage or any type of business, you're going to experience that. I think just our foundations of trust and unity and just all the things that are core, like just what we hold as a relationship, we project and put onto our business as well. I mean, you're working with couples most of the time too, and just having that female and male touch in both situations is ideal. Like this is why I just thank God so much for bringing me into this business, because there's things even when we're sitting in front of clients, he's like, oh wow, you remember that, and then vice versa. I'm like, oh, he got that. Like we just both kind of it's synced, right?
Curious, I wonder if you're working with a couple, like how does it work? Are you in a group chat with them, or like
Always,
like
yeah.
what if like all of a sudden they both are messaging him instead of you? Like how do you guys navigate that?
Yeah, good question. So we're always on the same page. This is why we have, I think, like, I don't know how many group chats on WhatsApp. And before we'd put like funny names, like with a house or, just something that's, but now we put the names because it's so tough to sometimes go back the years and find the client, right? But we're always on the same page. We all want to make sure that we're seeing what everyone's seeing. And that's really important communication because, as you know, real estate's like pure communication. So, yeah, lots of group chats, lots of calls, lots of texts, and it just keeps things flowing.
Yeah.
So,
Wow. And are you, how do you guys divide the tasks? Like, are you more administrative or like, how do you guys navigate that?
yeah, so we both kind of use our strengths and weaknesses. So he's great at negotiating. He obviously has the experience. He's definitely that guy that's just gonna boom, boom, boom on offers. So he handles more of that. I handle a lot of the back end. I'm always there. Like we're always together on every listing appointment because, again, with that female side, even just with staging and just personalities and relating with people and just like the personal side, I'm there most of the time. I guess it depends on the clients too. And yeah, a lot on the marketing. I do all the marketing for the videos and the pictures. I take care of all that, the listings, the admin, a lot of the back end calls. So, we know our roles, and that's super important. It's like no one's trying to step on each other's toes, because in any business or any partnership, if you have that competitive edge or I think I could do this better. But it doesn't work, right?
Yeah, you got
So
to stay in your lane, as they
for
say.
sure. Yeah.
I'm curious because obviously you were given this opportunity to be this like famous Instagram sports model or whatever. Do you ever like look back on that and be like, oh, that could have been me? Or like, is it something you ever think of?
Good question. No, because you know what? Like what this is now, what we have now is nothing I could have dreamed of, honestly. Like even the path that I was going, it was depressing. Like that fitness industry, it was so self-absorbed, and I'm not like that. Like, I mean, I like to give in, and I find real estate, it's so fulfilling with that. And then with EXP and just so many different things, and even stuff that I'm doing on the side, and the flexibility that real estate gives to do things for God,
What
for
are you doing on
community.
the side? Sorry, I have to ask.
Just Bible studies. So I do
Bible
like
studies.
about my dad. He's used to be he just
Pastor.
retired. Yeah, so 40 years, right? So he does the Bible studies, and there's like 77 girls in the WhatsApp group, and we do them monthly, and it's growing. And
You
it's,
host it, or
yeah, in my house.
so you're kind of like a pastor. I don't know. Are females pastors or what?
My dad, like he's the one, but I'm organizing it. I'm
okay.
connecting the
Oh,
girls.
your dad
yeah.
is still there.
Yeah, he's the one that's doing it. I'm not
Got
preaching.
it,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. No, he's preaching. Yeah, yeah. So he's doing the sermons. He's doing all of that. And it gives me the flexibility for that. And it's the fulfilling side, which I look back and I'm like, look, the missionary thing, like that somehow closed, but I know that there's so much more, and real estate gives that opportunity. And then with EXP, with passive income and just investment properties, all these things that I would have never achieved if I was on my own in fitness. Like I was
Wow.
I was going a direction like that life and that world is all so carnal and just so like it was great. I loved it. It was, great highlights and moments in my life, but I would never trade right now for this, what I have. Like I'm literally feeling sometimes like, wow, God, like
Pinch
why
me.
me?
Yeah,
Like, yeah,
for
like
sure.
this is, it's
And
great.
we haven't even gotten into you being a mom, Katrina. I don't know how you do it all. Just like I look at myself and people say, how do you do it?
Yeah.
But how do you juggle like real estate, being a mom, and all the other things you have going on in your life?
Yeah, it's tough, right? Because real estate never turns off. Like you are sleeping, eating, and breathing it. Like I saw this funny picture, and it's like, other professions, how they sleep are like this, and then realtors are just like all over the
With
place.
the bubbles?
Yeah, just like
did I
like
close the
everything. Oh yeah,
lockbox and-
everything,
yeah.
right? And being a mom's the same thing. So you're literally having two professions that it's like,
Wow,
like
I never
nonstop.
even thought of that. I
Yeah.
never made that connection.
Yeah.
'Cause, yeah, with my kids, I'm like, do they have winter boots? This and that. Did I reply to that email like for their school? And then you have this other
Yep.
business that also doesn't shut off. Wow, I
Yeah,
didn't even
nothing
make
shuts
that
off.
connection.
And as women, we don't shut off anyway. We're overthinkers.
So true.
So everything is just what is like our brains like you guys have no clue. Like it's just like boom, 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 boom. It's nuts, right? So you really, I guess this is a personal thing, like just that time. And again, this is where my spirituality and just what God comes in is being able to shut everything off and just get into what fulfills me and in my heart at peace. And when I come out of that, if it's like reading the Bible, reading my books, prayer, just even just looking through, like just that alone time, it really rejuvenates in my purposes and my time spent. So, when I'm at
When do
work,
you get that alone time? I'm curious.
nighttime.
Nighttime?
Yeah, yeah. So usually before those 2 last hours, like this is the time me and Pascal kind of separate a bit. Like he'll do his own.
Oh,
kind
you
of
guys
thing.
actually
yeah.
aren't together
2
24 hours a day.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. It's the 2
Yeah,
hours.
The 2
okay.
hours. It's a good little 2 hour, maybe like hour and a half, 2 hours. Yeah, but yeah. So he'll TV or whatever, and then I'm in my bed doing all that good stuff,
Wow.
and it really just, and even in the car, like worship music or just the car, like our minds can go so much, and sometimes even with real estate calls, like that's a great time. I do my calls too, but sometimes you got to be like, no, this is a time to recharge. So important, and just being present. Like I find when I'm present with my kids and I'm tired, I force myself to give that extra mile because then it just fulfills me even more. Because I know when I'm giving that 100% to my kids in that moment, it's like a switch. Like you're just on a natural high, or like you just feel, it's like a surreal feeling. You know what it feels to be a mom. Like it's just, so I'd make sure I give into that and then just refuels me to the next task, I guess you can say. So alone time and just giving your all in those moments.
And then do you guys have like help from family, like with the kids
Oh yeah,
and stuff?
yeah. So we were having a nanny at one point, and now they're both in daycare. My mom, thank God, they're around to help. They also help my other sisters too. She has 3 kids, so it's busy for my parents. So that's why we need that
Wow.
additional help.
Yikes,
But
that's why they need to be retired.
yeah, from there, yeah, oh yeah, because 5 grandkids in 2 years, so very busy for them.
Wow.
Yeah, but yeah, now we're we don't have the nanny anymore, so we're just, again, for listings, we're always together. Buyer visits, showings, inspections. We now delegate, like we're a little more. We have to be. I mean, we have 2 kids, and I got to be present for the kids too. So we make that time work. But yeah, we definitely have additional help because.
And then, sorry, but do you still work out? Because you look amazing. And I know fitness is like a big part of your life. Like, do you make time for that too?
Every morning, most of the time, unless there's something, because again, real estate, evenings and weekends, most of the time. So in the
Guys,
morning.
real estate is terrible. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
We're all like, all the realtors on the shows, like, real estate's 24/7. You
Yeah.
never sleep. You never shut off. But it's true.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, it's a business, right?
Yeah.
You can't just shut it off.
No,
So,
exactly.
yeah. So you're saying you make time in the morning.
Yeah.
Like,
Morning.
what time do you get up to work out?
Well, the kids usually will go, I bring them around, 8:30, and then I go right after that.
Okay. And
yeah.
do you work out at home or at the gym?
The gym. Like we
think
have
you guys
a home
have a
gym.
home gym, right?
Yeah, but
But no one uses the home
We did it during
gym.
COVID, and I knew when he was making it, I'm like, this is gonna be such a waste of time.
Oh
But it was our
my
COVID
goodness.
project. But we use a sauna. Sauna has been amazing. Like that
Yeah.
is such a great investment, man. That's so good for you too. So we use a sauna, and occasionally the weights. And anyway, but yeah, for me, I'm a gym. I need to be in the gym. It's also like my home, and it's for me. It's kind of, I guess, what I grew up with, right? So it's just like my safe place, my everything. It's so needed. And that again, that was another point maybe too. It's like the gym and like the spiritual time, those two things, like to run successfully in anything you do, you have to feed you. Because if you're pouring and pouring and pouring and you're not pouring into your own spirit, you won't have any cup to give, right?
Yeah,
It's going to
no,
be a
for
mess,
sure.
a hot
Wow.
mess. Yeah.
Man, I learned so much about you that I didn't even know
Yeah.
from before. Like this whole thing with the US and all of this
Oh,
journey.
Cynthia,
Like,
that's crazy. Yeah.
no, but the most craziest is you saying about, how you heard it.
Oh yeah, that was
That's wild.
That was probably the only time I felt, because like people in their faith, like it's always wonder, how do you hear from God, or when do you and that was my only real moment where, and I wasn't even asking for it. Like I was just kind of praying, like just like writing stuff and my whatever, and it was boom, like this on me.
I thought you were going to say that maybe like it got canceled or something. You know what I mean? Because sometimes that happens. Like all of a sudden you look in your inbox and it's like, oh, that program's canceled.
Yeah.
But
No.
maybe we can talk about EXP for a little bit.
Yeah.
So you've been in the business 5 years and you guys were with Keller Williams for a bit.
Yeah.
Actually probably three of those years.
Yeah. 3. Yeah.
And then your husband, I think he was friends with Rick Dillon. And how did it happen? How did you guys end up leaving Keller Williams to join EXP? Because I think it's a pretty big move.
Yeah, huge move. We loved Keller. I mean, it was a great company for us. I was very happy. I mean, it was my first brokerage, all I did know, but I was very content, and the people around us, the community was great. We just came to a place where we kind of wanted to move on for certain reasons. And yeah, we were looking into brokerages, but not just yet. Like it wasn't a rushed move. Anyway, yeah, Rick kept asking us from time before, but we just didn't really want to hear it.
Did you guys have like a personal relationship with him? Like, did you guys
Rick?
hang out or yeah?
Oh, one of Pascal's best friends.
Right.
Yeah, so we knew him for many. Like I was when I met Pascal, was the first guy that I met, and actually Sonia, his wife, they met us at the same time. So we're like on the same wavelength with everything, relationships, friendships, everything, right? So it's really cool. But anyway, so long story short, we had a deal. We had a listing, not a deal, sorry. It was a listing that was up, and Mona Carter, who's under Rick, called us on the listing. And I remember Pascal, we're on the phone, I mean, we're in the family room, and Mona calls, and he steps aside, and he was just talking for so long, and it was just really like a passionate conversation. I'm like, what's happening out there? Because usually on listing calls, like it's just a one, whatever, right? And he gets off the phone and he's like, oh my goodness, like we have to go sit down with Rick. I'm like, okay, well, what's going on? He's like, Mona, he's like, she just opened my eyes. He's like, how is this your best friend and you're not seeing what this company's doing? Like, are you okay? And
Wow.
yeah, so we're like, okay, let's just go check it out. So we sat down with Rick, and literally, Cynthia, I remember we're just sitting there, and I was like, my mouth dropped. I'm like, we're signing right now. Like,
No way.
Yeah, we're like, again, we were happy with Keller, but just the opportunity. And something we've never seen before. I mean, again, I'm only doing this for 5 years. For Pascal, over 20 years now. It's just,
Did you
read
guys
something like
sign that same day or like?
I believe so. We're like, send this, like, we were all in right in that second. Like, we were skinning, like, we were done. We were like, this is
But
it.
meanwhile, they're best friends. Like that's
Exactly,
crazy.
yeah. No,
Why
I
do you
know.
think like it took a while to happen? Like, do you know what I mean?
Comfortability, and we were just content already too. It wasn't like we were in a rush to leave. And sometimes hearing new things, but Pascal's like, it's just a brokerage. Like, what
Yeah.
kind of brokerage, right?
He
Like,
always
it's
says like, right, it's changing lives.
Yeah.
But I think it is changing lives. Like, would you
Yeah.
agree with me? Like, I've
Yeah.
only been with the brokerage since March, and for me, it's opened my eyes up to like a whole other world. And I feel like I have this new connection with you, with Pascal, with Rick, with everyone at the brokerage.
Yeah.
Like it feels like a family sort
Right,
of.
right. And that can sound cliche, a family, but you really develop those relationships, and even the fulfillment side of it. Like, I mean, I was, talking about how real estate's so fulfilling, and I love that. But seeing my husband, because prior to this brokerage, when we were working at Color, like, he was not like saying he was rude, but it's just not like he had time for anybody. Like, we had our own business, our own lives going on. You're not helping everyone here, left, right, and center. And just seeing what EXP, almost the change in him as a person, and just how he is
It's incredible.
taking that role and really caring. There's moments I'm just like, wow, I'm sitting downstairs and that's first. Like, whoever's calling, he's on it. Like, he's really giving his all, and it's beautiful to see. And as his wife and obviously as a business partner, just the change and the I guess the hunger and want to be there for people. It's
And
really cool.
right now, I think Pascal has how many people in his downline or organization? I think
Yeah,
somewhere
we're
like
70
60 or
almost 70 now, yeah. And I think next month, like, it's the amount of people, Cynthia, it's going to be exploding more than the year for sure. It's crazy.
like I'm seeing it live in action happen, and it's just so incredible because Pascal, I've learned yesterday he's been in real estate 5 years longer than, or even 10 years longer than me. But anyways, he has earned every minute of this success, and it must be so amazing for you to see how, he's helping so many people in this business. So I think that's the thing with EXP. It's like Pascal didn't open a brokerage. Like, he didn't, like open an office or buy a franchise, but he, with EXP giving him that opportunity, was able to build this crazy team that's almost at 100 agents at this point.
Right. It's crazy. Like, in the span of 2 years now, just like everything, it's almost like just kids, real estate, everything's just going like, what's happening right now? Everything's just soaring, but it's all a blessing. And this business has been really good. So,
like you said, you wouldn't change a thing.
Not a thing.
No,
not a single thing.
So thank you, Katrina, for coming on today. Honestly, I had such an amazing time getting to know you more. Where can people find out more about you, your amazing life and business?
Social media, obviously. Let's see here. Instagram, I think, is the main one we use. Katrina Pascal Real Estate.
Okay.
Or Katrina Ashley with 2 eyes.
Amazing, guys. You got that 2 eyes. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode, remember to like, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you want to hear the audio version, head over to Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Thanks so much.